fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome to Michigan for the 8th round of Scrap here tonight. It's going to be a very, very fun race after a big race in the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series earlier today. Our drivers here for Scrap take ourselves to the 2 Mile Oval here at Michigan. See if we can replicate some of the madness and the craziness that we saw in the Coca-Cola Series race earlier today. This track, 2 miles as I said, but it does drive like it's a little bit longer because it is a very, very open track. And you're going to see lots of 2 wide, 3 wide, and maybe even 4 wide action here at the Michigan circuit. My name is Jay Kennedy. Alongside me, as ever, for Scrap is Mr. Cam Dance. Cam, it's going to be a fun one. This is a cool track, and well, it seems like a few drivers aren't too happy with the track choice because we have got a little bit of a lower turnout. It does provide some really good racing. It means that we're going to have a really good show.
Yeah, it's usually a track that's really, really good for racing. Obviously, the pack racing is one of those things that makes it really, really enjoyable to watch around here and also get some action going with the fact that you end up 2 or 3 wide the whole way around pretty much. So, looking forward to seeing what tonight's going to happen and if we get any sort of crazy sort of stuff going on.
And of course, as we said, it's 65 laps or 60 minutes, whichever comes first. Hopefully we see just the lap count tonight with what could potentially turn into a fairly short race if we do stay green. But the 3 green-white checkered attempts could come into play at some point as well. Late cautions here often happen just purely because of the nature of this track. And this track, as we said, very, very wide, very open. But one of the other characteristics to it as well is how heavily banked this track is. As we said, it's 2 miles in length, 3.2 Ks in Michigan. But the banking is quite extreme, around about 24 degrees through the turns. Not many 2 Mile ovals have that much banking. That just encourages the drivers, with the width of it, to want to try and throw it 3, 4, and we actually saw in the Coca-Cola race today, 5 wide.
Yeah, it really does produce that sort of atmosphere for the drivers with the fact that it's so wide, so banked, and you can just absolutely send it in there because you've got all that banking in the world on your side to be able to just send it in there and not end up washing up the track or ending up taking anybody out. Obviously, if you send it really, really hard, but for the most part, everybody seems to have control, and it's not too bad of a thing around this sort of place.
100%. It's not too bad at all. As we get ready to get into the race, qualifying has already been run and done. And starting this one on pole, a little bit of a surprise, is Bretton Hobson, who's put it as P number 1. We'll get the graphic up on screen in just a second. Didn't work. There we go. I'll put it up on screen now. Yes, it's good when I don't know what I'm doing, isn't it? There it is. Bretton Hobson on pole for Synergy Sim Racing. Second position for Dan Stevens. Really good job from those two. Jaden Russell in third, very close to Hobbo, with Jason Martin in fourth. Simon Mazzomo in fifth. Liam Sheen will start this race from 6th position. We've got Ryan Jones, Daniel Yeaman, Caleb Hides, Jeffrey Aldis, Colin Bruns, and Matt Danson rounding out the top 12. We also have Ashley Lear, Darren McKenzie, and Sam Stride, who did not put in lap times. Only 15 cars for this one. But I think the smaller field might provide a little bit of a closer, potentially more intense race.
Yeah, you could be absolutely right. It'll be fascinating to see what's going to happen. It'll probably decrease the number of cautions or the frequency of cautions as well, with the fact that you might end up with green flag stops due to the lack of cars. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens, and if anybody hasn't practiced their green flag pit stop, it's really going to hurt them quite dramatically with the fact that you carry a lot of speed on the way into pit lane around here. And we saw a number of drivers as well at round one at the test race getting caught out by green flag pit stops as well. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen and if anybody gets caught out again.
Yeah, of course, we ran the legacy version of this track for our test race for round 0. Feels like an eternity ago, but it was only 8 weeks ago. Drivers start to pull away and get ready to get action underway. 15 trucks, as you said, should hopefully provide a nice, pleasant night out on track. So got a few drivers joining us on Zoom as ever, so we'll get a few shots from a few drivers throughout the night as well.
Pre-broadcasting was a little bit disappointed with the fact that he couldn't get a good lap time, well, as good of a lap time that he would have hoped to have done. And I'm actually surprised he's using that Ferrari F1 wheel tonight. Normally he's found he's had to go to the slightly bigger wheel that he uses for this sort of stuff. So it's been interesting that he's actually gone for the open wheeler style wheel like I would typically do, but nevertheless work. It'll be interesting to see what music is going to do, and Daniel Stevens also out there as well, waiting and ready to get rolling.
Joining us as well on Zoom, we'll get to him as the night progresses as well, because hey, well, we're about to get underway. This hasn't taken long for us to get that pace lap done. Barney holding the green flag in the air. He is ready to drop. No passing until they cross the start line. But as soon as that green flag drops, they are racing. A very, very clean start from everyone in the group there. Ryan Jones already starting to look to try and make some moves. But he decided against that very, very quickly. The tyres being very, very cool in this early stage.
Tyres and brand new tyres as well, so they won't want to hurt them too early on. But that outside line is in a real head of steam, but Ryan Jones trying to push Mazzomo and Jaden Russell on the bottom side on the way into turns 3 and 4, but that high side still going to have that momentum advantage at the moment as Hobson with a big wiggle on the way to 3 and 4, and Jones is around as well.
Caution's out. As you said, Ryan Jones heading up facing the wrong direction. And he'll be utterly disappointed in that.
Yeah, not quite sure what actually happened, whether he checked up because he saw Holston getting a little bit out of shape and he got tapped from behind, but we get a view of it on the Virtual Racing School replay this time around and see what's actually going on. It's very odd that Hobson got as loose as he did, just running that middle line there. Yeah, it just looks like Jones checks up a little bit and gets contact from behind. Doesn't really have any time to sort of react.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Hobson's little bobble there was as much. He wanted to change lanes and then probably thought twice about it. So he did end up filing into 3rd position once that caution flag did fly. So he's probably in a way glad that the caution flew when it did, because it probably would have cost him a few more spots. I think the track conditions too, a little bit cooler than what they ran through practice and qualifying, so that could have hurt a few drivers as well. Jaden Russell has decided to come into the pits. It seems like a little bit of a strange move. We know that Ryan Jones is going to come in because he has smoke billowing out of the back of his Tundra. So we've got all 3 manufacturers all nose to tail coming down the pit straight there. You got down the pit lane, I should say. The bow tie for Matt Danson. We got the Tundra for Ryan Jones, and we got the Ford in the background there for Darren McKenzie. Ryan Jones, I was about to say, hasn't used his fast repair, but he definitely has. There it goes there. So those guys are all going to top up some fuel and then head back out again. Fuel is probably the bigger factor tonight than anything else. Tyre life is manageable, but fuel and fuel conservation very, very important in this one.
Yeah, fuel's certainly going to be very, very important to make sure you get as short of a stop as possible. You're not going to want to sit in pit lane for any longer than you already need to. And speaking of pit lane, Jones is actually still in the pit lane as well. So not quite sure what's going on there, whether he's had a speeding in pit lane penalty or something like that. But he is back and underway. So
He could have walked away and angry for a few minutes too.
or possibly, very, very possible.
Knowing
as well.
Ryan. We're hearing from the testing numbers that we could get. We didn't really have too much access to testing numbers, but also from data thanks to Virtual Racing School that we're looking around about 38 to 40 laps to a tank we're predicting, but that number could be nowhere near as accurate as the real number is. So if we predict that very wrong and it ends up being 50 laps or 25 laps, we're sorry, but going off the numbers we had, that we were thinking 38 to 40. You never know with some of these races too. Sometimes the amount of fuel that these guys use is a little surprising too. So we'll see how much I forgot to leave my mic on in that shot, so that was why I was sort of scrambling there, Cam. See whether the fuel burn is as we predicted. As Dan Newman looks rather calm as he's chatting away to his Twitch followers, and hello to his Twitch fam.
And also doing a little bit of in-race comments,
There he goes.
helping out the drivers. There we go. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what everybody does fuel-wise. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of saving going on from a lot of drivers, possibly some staying further back in the pack to try and save a little bit more fuel than those who are 2 or 3 car lengths ahead of them already. So it'll be fascinating to see what's going to happen and who's going to be the big beneficiaries in that department. But certainly some very, very interesting strategies already from the likes of Jaden Russell and that, who have come down onto the lane just to get some extra fuel.
Yeah, Darren McKenzie, who was at the back of the field, he popped in as well. But Jaden Russell was a confusing one for me because remember, he was in second. Or was he in the lead? He decided he'd come in and splash some fuel in now. But he's probably confident with his pace because he has been doing very, very well in this series and others. As Barney waves the green, away we go. We are back underway and starting lap number 5 here at Michigan. Very, very even start as well.
Yeah, very, very even start. And already Mazomo making a bit of a breakaway as well from the rest of the charging pack. Stephen's going to be on the inside of Hobson on the way out of 2, and there's going to be a little bit of a train forming on the bottom end. Also at the top, as looking to the inside of Daniel Stevens, nearly is going to be Daniel Yeaman, but not going to be able to make anything happen as he's got Liam Sheen checking right up behind him. But that top side is really starting to make its way towards Mazomo and really starting to leave everybody that was on the bottom for dead.
Yep, and I'm wondering if that little bit of a 3 wide back there was Yeaman not necessarily doing that by choice, but he might have nearly been forced down there by Liam Sheen, who's quite content sitting in behind. And as you said, that outside line definitely working. Jason Martin clear. Ashley Lear now starting to get clear, and there's been a truck hooked, and that is Jeffrey Aldis, who got hooked up, and I'm not sure who that was with, but he's got heavy damage, and he will have to come back into the pits and get that damage fixed very, very quickly because the smoke is billowing.
Yeah, that truck looking very, very second-hand with the smoke billowing out, and a very, very solid impact with the wall. I think it was Caleb Hyde who made contact with on the way out of 2 down the back straight. You can see there with the purple numbers, it was indeed Caleb Hyde's. And
I don't think Hyde's did too much wrong though.
Yeah, it didn't look like anything was out of place there. It just looked like they sort of merged together, and also looked like Aldous was trying to come down as well.
Yeah, so on board here with Caleb Hydes in the number 92. You can see, yeah, Hydes is definitely holding his line and then just gets hit in the side. See if we can get another look on board someone else behind. A couple more drivers jump into the lane once again and decide to get a little bit of fuel. Just missed it there on board with Ryan Jones. We'll go back a little bit further. Here we go. I don't think Caleb Hydes can be at all responsible for that one. He'll probably feel guilty in some ways, but there was nothing much he could do in that aspect, as everyone from about the 7th on place back decides to come in. And this will be purely to splash fuel in their truck.
Yeah, I'd say it would be a fuel stop for everybody. Mazomo, Stevens, Lear and Sheen, the only drivers to stay out, as well as Ryan Jones and Bruns, obviously. But everybody else deciding to come in and get a splash of fuel. No one deciding to take tyres. And Hobson almost beaten out of the lane by Jason Martin, as that was a very, very close race off that lane.
And Sam Stride almost there too. And also saw Dan Newman on the outside. Did he beat both of them, or is he going to have to slow up and let them back through? I'm not sure exactly. But that was a very, very interesting little race off pit road there. But Mazomo leading, tucked right in behind the pace car. Looks quite content in his rig. He was looking rather calm before, but he looks rather calm still right now.
Yeah, it's not like he's all stressed at all, just sort of chilling there, waiting for racing to go green. Clearly hitting a fuel number and doing a bit of fuel saving as well, clutching on the way down through 3 and 4 and that, so trying to save as much fuel as he possibly can, as well as Mazoma being the car at the front of the field. So interesting to see how it's going to compare to everybody else around it.
Yeah, exactly right. But saving fuel in these races under caution, so important. I mean, we've only run a few green flag laps. We do run these races time certain here in Scrap, so we aren't new to the series here in Scrap. We do run time certain races that we are cut off at 1 hour in length, as we'll go green next time by. Means that we don't run all the way into the night by the time we get through 3 green white checkers, even though we did break iRacing once.
Yeah, it still befuddles me how we managed to do that, but yeah, nevertheless, it's at least going to get us through the racing and we don't end up here at 2 or 3 a.m. depending on where we live. But it'll be interesting, nevertheless, to see if we go time certain tonight. Might actually help the likes of Mazomo in that if we do end up going time soon, as won't be so much fuel to go on, but it'll also help those who have already pitted as well quite drastically, with the fact that they might not need to pit again, but we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen.
We're hit around about 10 minutes on the clock when they cross the line to start lap 9. So if we do get lots of these cautions back to back to back, we could find ourselves in a situation where we won't hit the 65 laps, but it won't take much green flag running for us to be okay in that aspect. So fingers crossed we do see some good, clean racing over the next little bit. And often with the track being as wide as it is here at Michigan, I do find that the nerves can be there a little bit, and some drivers in that mid-pack can find themselves getting a little bit shaky and run themselves across the nose of someone else, which we have seen already. Fingers crossed we don't see too much more of that as we get ready to take the green once again. This is the 3rd start of the race, 2nd restart. The 3rd time Barney will wave the green flag here in Scrap. This is Stock Car Racing Asia Pacific, and we're back underway. Good launch from Daniel Stevens on the outside road. And he's jumped ahead of Simon Mazomo already, but by the time they get into turns 1 and 2, the inside line does start to come back. By the time they get back to 3 and 4, that outside line will be back working again. Mazomo started to realise that, and I think he is thinking, I'm going to try and get the outside. Ashley Lear, though, is going to have to work the inside.
Yeah, and he's going to be stuck down there all on his lonesome as well as Lear, although Jones is going to go down to the low side and join Lear, so it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen as Stevens nearly getting a little bit of a bump draft from Sheen just behind, but it's going to be a drag race between Jones, Sheen, Stevens and Lear on the way down the front straight through the tri-oval section, and it's going to be very, very close on the way into turn 1. They're right on the tail of Mazomo now as Stevens gets a little bit loose, and that's checked up. Sheen behind, and everybody else is starting to swarm in as well now.
Yeah, that was very, very lucky for Dan Stevens and for Sheen. This is another little bump, a little bit of contact there between Stevens, Bruns and Sheen. Liam Sheen's been a bit of a punching bag, whether he's been involved through his own doing or not. He just seems to be getting hit all over the place. He gives another tiny, tiny little bump to Daniel Stevens to say, hey, I don't appreciate this. But it's not surprising to see that little bump there.
Yeah, certainly no love lost between these two at the moment. They're going to be side by side on the way through 1 and 2. Again, Sheen's going to be on the high side. Stevens on the low side, drifting up, nearly going to be contact between the two of them. Lear's lost a lot of momentum, and as a result, then you're possibly going to end up 3 wide here, but Stevens will be trapped down low behind Lear, and as a result, he's going to lose out. Sheen is going to drive around the outside of both Lear and also Stevens, and have the momentum to catch up to Simon Mazomo, who's got Ryan Jones right beside him.
Yeah, remember, Ryan Jones has already had to use his fast repair, already used that spare truck in his garage, but he doesn't care. He's going straight to the lead, fastest lap of the race so far, and he is flying. He doesn't care. He wants to try and put as much into this as he can, as Lear and Sheen make a little bit of contact, and Sheen does a great job to save it. Just clips the outside wall at the exit of 2 as we're 3 wide. Matt Danson making his first real appearance towards the pointy end. He starts to come on through. Now up into position 7 is Matt Danson. Did put in a qualifying time, but did decide to start the car last. You can do that in iRacing. You can just force yourself to not drive away when the pace truck or pace car pulls away. He's done that and started at the rear of the field. Ryan Jones now has to try and hold on as much as he can from that charging Footsty car truck of Mazomo that wants to come back and take the lead back away.
Will be trying to find a way on by, although he might not be, because remember, he hasn't pitted yet, so he's got to save a lot more fuel compared to Jones and Stevens, who's looking to the inside of Mazomo, but those two around him have pitted already for fuel, so they're going to be in a little bit of a better situation than Mazomo is, who's going to have to try and save a lot more fuel than the other two, so he might be a little bit more content to just sit behind and try and save some extra fuel to make it home and not have such a long pit stop. But Stevens going to drift up towards Mazomo, nearly contact again between Stevens and the car on the outside, but Mazomo going to have the momentum on his side down the back straight. The draft as well from Jones, who's going to be up on the high side. Stevens is going to try and hang it on the low side on Mazomo, but it's just not quite going to be enough for him.
Quite yet, and that outside line will start to work more and more and more as this race progresses. We saw during the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series race today that after about lap 20 with 40 cars on it, it was the outside line that was really starting to work really, really well. Haven't quite got as many cars out there on track. So by midpoint, 3/4 race distance, that outside line is going to be absolutely fantastic. You can see the driver's already sort of trying to work out if it is doing anything now. See drivers sort of weaving and trying to pick lines and try and work out which way is the best way around this track. But right now, I think the middle sort of groove, but low to middle for now, but slowly getting higher and higher. Speaking of getting higher and higher, Stevens tried to go up higher, but that 10 truck of Ashley Lear was still there.
Nearly ended up with contact there, but Martin's getting right in and amongst it now on the low side. He's going to have Sheen pushing him on the way down the back straight as well to try and make something happen on Lear, but it's not looking like it's going to have happened, and as a result, he's not going to be able to get that position before they head into 3 and 4. But Sheen going to look to the middle to split the two of them on the way out of 4, but not quite going to have enough momentum. He's going to stick to the high side with Lear and try and look for a way on by one of these two trucks, or both of them if he can. Martin's still continuing to hold that bottom side on the way into 1, and it's very, very close between these three.
We're finally getting a little bit of a green flag run happening. Touch wood, we stay green. As the pace in this race is definitely upped a little bit of tempo. And you can tell that it's upped in tempo for one reason and one reason only. The likes of Matt Danson and Jason Martin have decided they don't want to be at the back anymore. They want to start progressing their way forward. These guys know how to conserve tyres, conserve fuel, and still have great pace. And they're almost working together without working together at the same time, if you understand what I mean. They both are on the same mindset. They're not battling each other, but they also don't want the other one to break away from each other.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And everybody else behind is also trying to find a way on bias. So Martin's almost stuck in some way because he's on the low side and he's trying to make something happen on the likes of Lear, but he's just lost so much ground as a result that he's ended up all the way back to Hobson. And now Danson's fighting with Sheen. He's going to try and get move done on the inside out of 4, and it's looking like he's pretty much got it done, but he's still not quite going to be cleared, so he's going to have to hold it at the low side for a little bit longer, but he should get that move done as they head on the way into 1.
Sheen's also used a lot of tyre. He's been working really hard on the wheel. He's been quite content moving lines and changing, going high, going low, weaving through the corners to try and work out the best way through. And what that does, it puts a lot more pressure on those Goodyears. And you'll find yourself with tyres that don't really like you too much by the end of your stint. Tyres is probably just as big of an issue here as it is fuel. As we said, we're looking around about 38 to 40 laps if we stay green to a tank. So we're not too far off seeing the potential for someone pitting and making it home on fuel. However, you don't want to do that because your tyres will not like you after 40 laps of green flag running. So you really want to break it up and maybe even see someone might come in at, say, lap 30, take a set of tyres, and then maybe come in again at lap 45, lap 50 if we have a caution, and take that final set of tyres. But the downfall to that is if we do have a green-white checker situation, you'll leave yourself vulnerable because you won't have a set of tyres left.
Yeah, absolutely right. You've got to try and manage those tyres as best as you can and work out what's going to be best strategy-wise to try and use those tyres. As Jones has hit the wall by the looks of it, because that right-hand side is very, very second-hand, and as a result, the whole field is just going to blow on by.
Yep, we'll try and quickly get a replay of what happened to him. Here it is. There's a truck just slid up the track. Just hasn't been able to slow it up in time. Fairly heavy hit. And it's regained. I'll tell you what, Mazzomo was lucky to not make contact in the rear there. But he probably wasn't expecting the pace from Ryan Jones to slow up that much. But pace from Jones has looked like it's back on the mend a little bit as Colin Bruns just swipes across the back of Liam Sheen as he crosses over the start-finish line. Zomo back in the lead. Danson now has got himself into second, but a little bit of another bump there. Liam Sheen has hit nearly every car in the race. Not intentionally, it's just the way that the race has played out. He's pinballed off nearly everyone.
Yeah, he's got a few small bumps on the inside of that truck, especially on the way through turns 1 and 2. So he's got a little bit of a pinball at this stage in the race and hopefully trying to keep that thing a little bit cleaner in the secondary stint. But Matt Danson is now right on the tail of Simon Mazzomo. Daniel Stevens and Ashley Lear right in there as well. Lear's going to go to the inside of Stevens on the way into turn 1, but decides to think better of it, just backs out and it cruises on in behind. Danson's going to stay high though on the way through 1 and 2, and he's going to get around the outside of it. Daniel Stevens with great ease. Lear going to try to do the same thing as well, and here comes Danson with a huge head of steam on Simon Mazzomo. He's going to look to the inside on the way into 3 and 4, and he's going to get that one done very, very easily before they even get into 3.
Nice job from Matt Danson to take the lead away from Simon Mazzomo. Stevens and Lear still side by side. They've been side by side for a little while now. And Ashley, who hasn't had the best of luck in this series, he'll be looking for some better than bad in this one. Speaking of bad, Ryan Jones has had bad luck in this series as well. He was not surprised when I told him earlier he was outside the top 10 of the championship, even though he wasn't. He thought that there was no way he would even be close to being in the top 10. that championship fight, Danson does lead over Dan Yeaman in second. Brenton Hobson finds himself in a very, very awkward spot there. He was bunched in to what was going to be the outside of a 5-car pack. Here comes Liam Sheen again. I was thinking for a second there he's going to make contact with Ashley Lear. We hit 25 laps done. We've got 40 to go. This is where the race now starts to strategically play out. You can make it home from here, but your tyres are going to hurt. You could do it. Will someone at the back think, well, I've got nothing to lose, I might as well? It is a viable idea, because if we do see cautions, you will get lucky dog, but you don't want to be in amongst the 2 or 3 cars that do it. If you're going to do it, you want to be the only one.
You're going to want to try and get that a lot of clean air so you can run some very, very quick laps. So Sheen gets up the inside of it. Stevens Hobson going to be on the inside nearly, but gets nose chopped off on the way down the front straight. Is going to have to sit in behind Liam Sheen on the way down the front straight into turns 1. Looks to the inside, and Sheen is in the wall, and Stevens nearly into the wall as well. Contact between those two. Sheen's still up against the wall, but keeps it straight and keeps it going, so no caution, but that was not what Sheen would have been hoping for at all.
No, there's a little bit of damage to the truck of Dan Stevens, but there is a lot of damage to the truck of Liam Sheen. He's losing a lot of ground. Dan Stevens is probably going to bring it in here just to get that spare truck, and he'll go on to that alternate strategy. But, that was a fairly decent hit. The group start to file out a little bit more single file. We'll see if we've got a chance to get a replay here. See, Stevens was right up against the wall, and yeah, that's probably on Sheen there. He just didn't give Stevens room to be able to move off the wall.
Yeah, it just looked like he came up in front of him, and unfortunately Stevens nowhere really else to go other than either straight into the wall or into the side of Sheen, and Sheen coming off second best in that wall, with Stevens getting a little bit of damage as well as a result. But yeah, really unfortunate there for Stevens, as he was doing very, very well, and so was Sheen actually before that entire incident. So yeah, just really unfortunate.
Yeah. I think Sheen was probably nervous about Hobson on the inside, but he was definitely clear and just chopped up in front of Dan Stevens, who has come in, taken that spare car back out there with that fast repair. The truck is fully fueled and ready to get it home. Also in to do the same was Liam Sheen. So they both come in, they're both back out again. There is Stevens and Sheen just ahead. They now have fresh tyres, so we'll see the fresh tyre advantage. A few of the guys that are thinking alternate strategy are probably almost glad that that's happened, because they can watch and see how big of an advantage those new tyres are.
You're going to see the difference between new and old tyres with Daniel Stevens based on what's happened to him in this race in the Carfield field. Very, very quickly, although he's going to end up hurting later on. But if we get a caution, he's going to be saved quite nicely by the caution, so we'll see what's going to happen. But on the board with Ashley Lear trying to hunt down Brenton Hobson, but just can't quite seem to be able to close in on him at this current stage at least. And obviously everybody's tyres hurting quite a lot as well, and he has to be careful because Gavin and Brunt's not too far behind as well.
Yep, exactly right. And you did hear from on board with Lear, and you probably can sort of hear it with Hobson. Just waiting and waiting and waiting until you can actually put your foot down. It's a little nerve-wracking when you're not sure how much tyre you've got underneath you, isn't it? You sort of go to put your foot down and you think, no, I better wait, because the last time I did that, I almost spun the wheels up. So a little bit of nervousness will be coming in, and you can see there, the lap down the truck of William Sheen. Don't thread that 3 wide, he's going to anyway. And we're almost 4 wide across the start-finish line, of course, with 1 lap down truck, but Hobson right at the bottom, Mazoma right at the top. Liam Sheen goes through, and we've all got through that okay.
Yeah, they've all made it out of there in one piece. Lear going to go try and go 3 wide though, and Yeaman going to get involved as well. As kind of turns up Yeaman. Oh, and that's a big hit, and runs off the road as well.
And the caution has flown right at the halfway point in the race. So Lear with smoke billowing out the back of the truck. Colin Bruns has blown his engine by the looks of it. Caleb Hydes was almost involved in that. Ryan Jones didn't get involved in that. Messy one. We'll get the pit stops done. No, they've still got another lap. Let's quickly get a replay, because that was sort of brewing, wasn't it? We sort of felt like that was going to happen for a little while with that Hobson, Lear, Yeaman, Mizomo sort of group. It felt like it was brewing, didn't it? And Lear sort of lent on Hobson. It wasn't really a push. Again, just driver being in the middle, not quite sure where the car or truck is below. Probably giving a little bit too much room one direction instead of the other.
Yeah, very easy to do as well, especially at these sort of speeds and this sort of track where it's just so quick and just so close with everybody as well. So very easy thing to do, and unfortunately when it happens it usually doesn't go well at all.
We're pretty much at the halfway point. We've done 32 and a half laps. We've got 32 and a half to go, and time-wise, we've done 28 minutes, so nearly halfway through as well. As pit lane opens, and almost everyone will come in except for probably 2 trucks.
So Sheen going to stay out, Stephen's going to stay out as well. So he's going to get a wave around with 1 to go. Sheen's going to get the lucky dog by the looks of it as a result of being at the first car a lap down. Everybody else going to come onto the lane and get some tyres and some more fuel. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen here, whether everybody takes 2, whether everybody takes 4. Looking like everybody is taking 4. Although Danson's out very quickly. And Mizomo out second as well.
Yeah, Danson's taken 4. Mizomo's taken 4. Hobson 4. Lear 4, Yeaman 4, everyone looks like they're taking 4 except for Jeffrey Aldous, who has only taken 2. Ryan Jones, another slow stop for him, but I wonder if that's as much a toilet break as anything else. Knowing Ryan, it probably is. Hello Ryan, when you're watching this back. You'll probably be laughing at me saying that.
Probably, and it probably wouldn't surprise me if it was a toilet break.
Time to do it. If you're going to do it in a race like this, it's the time to do it. In saying that, he could have actually been getting a bit of damage fixed from when he scraped up against the wall too when he was in the lead. Remember, he's already used his fast repair, so that may have been what has happened there. Also, Jaden Russell and Colin Bruns, they look like they may be race done. Colin Bruns has obviously got that toe that he has to serve, but he does have that spare truck still available, so I'm surprised he isn't back out on the track yet. Dan Stevens, of course, will get the wave around right about now. And he'll get himself to the back of the field and be on the lead lap. On the same strategy, just with about 4 lap older tyres than the guys around him.
Yeah, so it won't be too big of a disadvantage, but it'll certainly have some difference in pace at least. Daniel Stevens, if we get another caution, he'll be in pretty much the box seat to slap another set of tyres on and have a tyre advantage over everybody else. But it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. Stevens being off the back and having obviously not brand new tyres, but reasonably fresh tyres still. When they'll be able to move his way on 40, you have to be careful to not burn them up too quickly, especially with 30 laps to go.
Yep, 30 to go when we restart, and it's going to be a very, very interesting race. And you can tell that Danson's probably clutching it right now, because there's a pretty aggressive push there from Hobbo, saying, hey, how much room do you want to give? Hobbo's, they're probably having a little bit of a laugh as well about that, no doubt. They all get along very, very well, the guys in this series, which is great to see. If you do want to be a part of this series as well, you can check out Scrap Esports on Facebook. Get all the details as to how to join up. Also, you can contact Aussie Online Gaming or us here at SimSpeed TV if you want to be a part of this series going forward, because it has been a load of fun the whole way through as we get ready for the 3rd restart of the night. 30 laps to go. We go green here at Michigan. A great launch from Mazomo on the outside. That outside line at the restart seems to be working very, very well.
Yeah, it certainly does seem to be working very, very well. But Dancing going to have a slight advantage on the way into turn 1. But Mazomo should have the outside momentum on his side to stay ahead of Hobson at least. And he's going to manage to also get Danson's draft and have Lear just in behind, nearly giving him a little bit of a push. But Mazomo getting to the back of Danson very, very quickly. Didn't decide to pass, so just continuing to sit in behind is Mazomo for the meantime as Martin gets loose. Mazomo got nearly loose there as Martin holds onto it only just.
Wow, what a save from Martin. And I must say that it seems to be something with the cold tyres. Remember, at the very, very start of the race, we saw 3 or 4 drivers end up having big moments like that. And we've seen it every single time we've restarted with cold tyres. Or someone with cold tyres is having that big light up moment. Gaiman, Sheen. I must say, Sheen's still got good pace, even though his tyres are 10 laps old, 6 laps older than everyone else. Still going along very, very nicely. He's up the inside of Dan Newman and Darren McKenzie, who's probably just been content sitting back and watching for a lot of this race, is now starting to think, hey, it's my time to move up. Now it gets past Dan Yeaman. He's on for the lead. Mazomo's going to steal the lead off Matt Danson. He'll have an absolute smile on his face right now, thinking that he's actually got ahead of Matt Danson.
Yeah, very, very good and clean move from Mazomo to get ahead of Danson, who didn't really put up any sort of
wrong
fight
button, Cam.
on the way into turns 1 and 2. But looking at a zoom feed from Mazomo, you can see here he's just being very, very cautious, not really doing any sort of major wheel work, just trying to be nice and smooth and precise as well through the turns, not trying to do anything silly as Justin behind. Sheen starting to apply a little bit of pressure to the back of Brenton Hobson. He's going to have Lear coming to the outside on the way into turn 1. Very, very close as well between those two, but it's going to be still single file as Lear's going to get backed up a little bit as a result of Sheen not quite being able to carry the corner speed that Lear and Nats would be able to. And Mackenzie's now going to be right on the tail of this little 4-car train.
Yeah, Mackenzie was the fastest out of everyone last lap by, so Mackenzie well and truly happy with his pace. Actually, I'll take that back. Liam Sheen was the fastest in this group last lap by, but fastest overall, fastest lap of the race last lap by to the 21 truck of Jason Martin. So Martin starting to try and claw that ground back he lost. Liam Sheen needs to be careful because if he pushes too hard now, he's going to have no tyres left for that last 26 laps. Probably another 3 or 4 laps of very hard pushing, and he's going to find himself susceptible to these guys around him who look like they're using their tyres a lot less, except for Ryan Jones, who has absolutely nothing to lose considering he's already had a damaged truck, already had damage that he's had to fix, probably has no tyres left now. He really has to push it here because he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He has nothing to lose at this stage, so just needs to try and push as hard as he possibly can and try and make something happen out of the rest of this race with 25 laps to go. And he's going to look to the inside of Sheen on Hobson, and he's going to get that move done fairly easily as well. No real fight put up there by Hobson, and Hobson not really able to do much as well. And now Lear going to look to the inside of Hobson possibly. He's not quite going to be able to drop alongside of Mackenzie, closing in slowly on the way down at the back straight, and Lee's now finally going to get to the inside and have some overlap on Hobson through turns 3 and 4, and he's going to drop alongside and probably take that place off Hobson. And here comes Jones just looming in the background as well.
And also saw at the front there, Matt Danson trying to get himself back to the front as well, but Mazomo is putting up a great fight trying to hold on to that lead. Not going to do it. And I must say that Liam Sheen, since he's come in and got that second truck, he's flying. His pace has been brilliant. But again, my concern is that he's going to have nothing left to fight with at the end.
You have to wait and see what happens as he has a peek at Mazomo on the way into 3. Does Sheen, but doesn't end up with position gained there or anything like that. Had to check up a little bit on the way through 4 as well to not end up in the fence. And what this has done is back the rest of that little pack up all the way down to the back of Ryan Jones. And if they start to fight a little bit harder, they might find that Yeaman and that are going to end up in this fight too.
And remember, Jason Martin isn't too far back from those guys as well after his little whoopsie at the restart on that first lap after we went green. He'll be happy to see that group fighting and checking up a little bit with the fighting that they are doing. But the pace in that secondary group looking very, very strong. Again, Jason Martin, fastest truck on track. And by a considerable margin, as he's just got past the 85 of Dan Yeaman. So back up in 8th position is now the purple machine of Jason Martin. Mizono, Sheen, Hobson all try and work out the best way to attack this race from here. A third to go. And what do they do with Matt Danson in front? Do they let him go? Or do they try and fight him and make him work these tyres, knowing that they're going to work their own tyres in the same breath?
Yeah, it's certainly a damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of situation where you want to win the race, but you don't want to end up burning your gear up too early as well. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen and what sort of strategy some of these guys might end up doing as this race starts to get closer and closer to the finish. But you can see them all scrapping it out. Jones trying to make it some gains on Ashley Lear as well on that low side on the way through 1 and 2, and it's looking like it might not quite work in his favour, although he's going to be pretty much equal on the way down the back straight, and on the way into turns 3 he's going to have the inside and shorter run on the way into 3 and 4 as well, but still going to continue to draw up only just alongside.
Only just getting alongside, but not much further at the moment. I love watching how much they end up squeezing. They break away at the exit of 4 and then they squeeze back up going through the tri-oval, and you always get nervous that they're both going to keep on drifting at the same time. There's a little bit of a check up there from Hobson, didn't quite get turned into 1 and 2 properly, and the momentum from Mackenzie and also Lear was quite extreme in comparison. They've all checked up back in the single file still, and Mackenzie just gives Hobson a little bit of a push and a hurry up and saying, hey, you don't keep moving along, I'm going to come and take that position away from you myself. He has a little bit of a look, but as we said before, the inside line starts to go away, and I think I said with about 15 to 20 to go that we'd start to see the outside start to work. Guess what? With 19 to go, the outside's working much better than the inside.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Obviously, everybody trying to save their tyres a little bit more as well. Now that we're starting to get a little bit of a longer green flag run, and probably not to be seeing a caution any time soon.
Oh, you've ruined it.
I have ruined it now that I've said that, but fingers crossed and touch wood that we're not going to end up getting a caution for the rest of this race. Mackenzie going to look to the inside of Lear, who's going to have Jones tucked up right and behind, and bearing in mind here comes Jason Martin just in behind as well, so he's going to be trying to power his way on through this little group and get to the back of that lead train.
We're just under 300 kilometers an hour, 180 miles an hour here at Michigan in the truck. A little bit faster in the Xfinity and the Cup cars, but still pretty intense pace here in the Gander Truck Series cars / trucks. I'm going to call them cars forever because it's just habit after 10 years of commentary. It's hard to not call something a car. Ryan Jones is at well, that graphic shows it perfectly. The most up and down race you can have in one of these. He's been at the front, he's been at the rear, and he's been everywhere in between. And right now he's right in the middle.
He's right in the thick of it at the moment, and probably in a semi-good place at the moment, because if anything happens in front of him, he's got plenty of time to react. He doesn't have to worry about anyone running into the back of him as well, so he's going to have a whole heap of positions to gain if anything happens ahead as Sheen continues to pressure the back of it. Mizomo is going to try and get it up the inside, but not quite going to do it. And then falling in behind Lear and Hobson, but Hobson going to come out of nowhere. Mizomo going to end up getting a little bit loose off 4 by the looks of it, and that's hurt his momentum quite a lot. Lear's going to be tucked up right and behind Mizomo on the way down at the front straight, and Hobson going to continue with the low side being stuck down there. Mizomo is going to get position back off both of them. Hobson going to try get the position off Lear, but Lear's going to have the full head of steam on the outside.
And I think Liam Sheen's tyres have hit that cliff. Now, 20 odd laps into this stint on these tyres, which is about half a stint. And we said that if you keep pushing them too hard, they're going to say no more. So maybe at that point now, these guys ahead of him probably have been a little bit more conservative on the tyres. Definitely the likes of Martin, other than that one moment, has been very, very conservative on his tyres. Lear and Hobson have probably been a little bit more aggressive than the likes of Mazomo. But I think Darren McKenzie's probably in the best spot here. He has done nothing to his tyres. He's just been content sitting back watching. And it's almost like a shark waiting to pounce, isn't it? He's just there watching, letting these guys fight. Hey, you do what you want. I'll wait until the end, and then I'll come from nowhere and take all your spots.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's running his own race at the moment and doing very, very well with what he's possibly growing in behind the head at the moment. See what he can do to try and make this race work in his favour. But McKenzie getting a nice big push from Liam Machine, nearly contact between the two of them on the way into turn one with how close it was, but it's very, very close between those four at the moment. Martin is looking and looking and looking, but not quite ready to make a move yet, as Mazomo is under pressure from Ashley Lear at the moment for second place. Lear's going to be on the high side on the way into three. Mazomo's going to be stuck down on the low side, and that might just hurt Mazomo a little bit here with the fact he's not going to have the momentum that he wish he had, but he's going to continue to hold the low side and going to continue to hold on to second for the time being. But Hobson going to give a big push to Ashley Lear, and they're going to both get Mazomo here.
Yep. Although Hobson technically isn't quite through because Mazomo's still on the inside, but that run and advantage that they will get out of the corner will definitely propel Hobson through, and there it is, move done. So Ashley Lear into second, Hobson into third, and that, oh no, Mazomo and McKenzie make contact. I was about to say, here comes McKenzie after that little bit of a poor run, and Mazomo, well, he's ended up facing the wrong direction, and he is not happy.
Yeah, that was a really, really weird one, and it didn't even look like it was major or big contact either. It just sort of looked like it was the slightest little touch, and unfortunately Mazomo ended up being turned around. No real major damage there by the looks of it, other than his ego and tyres, but we'll get a virtual racing score replay and see what's actually happened between these two. Mazomo obviously lacking a little bit of momentum on the way down the back straight, and McKenzie sort of pulls out and just sort of wobbles into it.
I don't think he... Well, I mean, Mazomo was leaving half a car width wide of the wall, which everyone was, and I'm wondering if McKenzie probably wasn't expecting Mazomo to leave as much space as he did, and they've just made contact as McKenzie had the head of steam and Mazomo was a little bit slower throughout that section. So this is interesting. Who's got tyres left? That's the real question. I've lost track. I don't remember. We'll find out in a second. Whoever's got a set of tyres left is in a really good spot right now, and whoever doesn't, they're in struggle street. Everyone's got to come in, but if you've got no tyres left, what are you going to do? You can't take any. Sam Stride's staying out. He's obviously got none left.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen for these guys who don't have any tyres left. Stride, obviously one of them, Bruns as well, another, so they're going to be really struggling hard later on in this very final stint of this race. This 10-lap sprint is really going to hurt them with the fact that all these guys don't have to really worry about their tyres. They can just go hell for leather and throw caution to the wind about their tyres, because they don't have to worry about making them last too long. But it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen as Lear nearly beats, it was very, very close, but I think he just beat Brenton Hobson off the lane. We'll see what the order's going to be like.
I think so too. I think at the moment Hobson's showing as ahead, but I think you're right. I think Lear did get ahead of Hobson, but Hobson had the momentum, so he's taken the spot, but we'll have to give it back. But it looks like everyone has come in and taken two tyres. Obviously Colin Bruns has not, because he ended up 2 laps down from that earlier incident. Good news for him, he's now the lucky dog. Gets one of those laps back. Another caution puts him back on the lead lap. And he still has a set of tyres left, so he is still, if we have a couple of cautions back to back, because we've still got 10 minutes on the clock, or 15 minutes on the clock nearly, we still have a chance that he could find himself in with a good spot if we do get back-to-back cautions.
Yeah, certainly right. Or even a green white checker for that matter. He might
Yep.
find himself in a really, really good spot. Although, then again, it'll be interesting to see if anybody that's pitted now comes down onto the lane if we get a green white checker. But
I don't think
nevertheless,
anyone's got tyres left now. They would have taken their one set in the
oh
middle
yeah, very true, very
and
true.
one set
Yes,
just then, so they've got no tyres.
yeah. So Bruns could very much be the big beneficiary, and with 10 lap extra newer tyres, he could really find himself moving through the field very, very quick under that green white checker.
Love the strategy that plays out in these races. SimSpeed leads on 22 lap old tyres. Matt Danson. Then we've got Brenton Hobson and Ashley Lear. So it looks like Hobson was officially ahead at the line because he's on the inside, which means he was a position ahead. But in saying that, I don't think Lear will be too disappointed. The outside line has looked much better at the restart. Stride with the older tyres. Hobson's probably in the worst spot to restart this entire race.
Yeah, it probably is actually based on what's going to be ahead of him on that restart and how those tyres are going to be a factor in Sam Stride's restart. Is going to be very, very interesting. Whether he's going to be able to put full power down in getting away, or whether he's going to have to try and feed the throttle to not try and spin those wheels up. It's going to be very, very interesting. It could very well back that entire inside lineup off this restart, which could very much hurt the likes of Hobson and a few of those quicker guys.
Here we go. Coming through 3 and 4. Barney is at the ready. We'll put the yellow flag away. Right on cue. There he goes. Brings out the green. Holds it aloft, ready to go. We get ready for 10 laps of mayhem here in Scrap. Engines rise, the crowd starts to roar, and we get back underway. Fairly clean launch as well, and that inside line didn't get away as bad as I thought. Dancer, though, with the momentum, will take the lead, but Hobson is able to get up into that middle groove, and almost Liam Sheen, almost into the back of Sam Stride, and Ashley Lear finds himself in the perfect position now as they fan out 3 wide in the back, 4 wide in the back, make it.
Oh no,
Lear
big
gets
jump.
turned by Liam Sheen, and he's made contact as well with Jason Martin as well.
Yeah, not the way that a lot of those drivers will have hoped to have had that happen. Lear, the big loser out of that, unfortunately, as well as Liam Sheen. We'll see here on the Virtual Racing Score replay again what happened, and Lear and Sheen just coming together by the looks of it. Unfortunately, Martin involved as well, and everybody else scattering, and you can see there everybody just trying to find a gap and find their way on through without losing too much time. Luckily, everybody from, I think, Jones on back made it on through, but
So
not too ideal for those involved.
Sheen and Martin just linked up, didn't they? They just hooked up together. I'm not sure which one of the two you're looking at it just from TV angles. It'll be something that when we do our race control debrief, there'll be a lot of chitter chatter about. And there'll be lots and lots of different looks from all different angles, but I think you have to put that on Sheen. He didn't have anywhere to come across to because there were 3 cars in that line and there was no gap for him to get into. So for me, on first look, that's an issue for Sheen, that he has caused that contact quite heavily.
And unfortunately, he's paid the price as a result with the fact that his car is very, very wounded. And I'd say that's going to be race over with the fact he's probably already used his spare car as well. So going to be not a good result for him. Jason Martin, don't think he's used his yet. So
No, he's still
might
got
be
the
able
spare to
wait.
go. So he's still got his spare, and you'll see him use it right there. There he goes. And have a look at who is back on the lead lap and who will be able to come back into the pits. Lucky Dog. And I'll tell you what, this is the reason why you call it Lucky Dog, because this lucky man back on the lead lap has a set of tyres still waiting in the pits for him. He can come around, catch the field, and then come in and take that set of tyres. And those guys that were involved in that incident, their tyres are going to be hurting because they would have hyperheated them, taken a little bit off the tyres. Colin Bruns will have brand newies.
Yeah, he certainly will have some very, very fresh tyres under him, and these guys that have been on track for a little bit longer will have it taken just the edge off those tyres. Won't have hurt them too badly, but they'll taken off just a little bit of an edge to the point where Bruns is going to have a little bit of an advantage for the first few laps.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at the likes of Ashley Lear, he'll have a lot of hurt in his tyres after being looped around, so that'll be a big difference. If you're wondering about time left on the clock, we're okay. We've still got 7.5 minutes before we potentially break iRacing again. We are okay. And shout out to Brad Wingard, who did notice your very, very good pun earlier. Yeah, I don't know if you even realised, but you did say that I believe it was Ryan Jones and someone else were scrapping it out. Or scrap being the series name. Well done.
Completely unintentional, but
I
I'll
thought
take
it was. I thought it was, but you know, if you've done it, you might as well take it.
Yeah.
We get ready to restart. Lights are now off on the iRacing safety car. Whatever sort of car that is. Every time I see it, I still stand by it. It looks different each and every time I see it. The other day I thought I saw a Mazda 3 or a Mazda 6 or something like that in it. It confuses me. Every single time I see it, I can see a different manufacturer in that car. That was iRacing's intention. They've done it absolutely perfectly.
Yep, they certainly have done it absolutely perfect, because no matter what how many times you look at it or how deeply you look into it or anything like that, the chances are you're probably not going to be able to tell what the car is based off, and there's going to be way too many similarities, just too many cars to make a proper judgment call.
The thing I like is that every time you look at it, you see something different. Like you notice, oh, hang on, that might be from that car and that might be from something else. And the absolute car nuts look at it and go, I'm so confused. When you've got car nuts that are so confused about what parts are what, your intention of running an absolute generic car is absolutely perfect. As we get ready to go, Barney holds the green once again. And we restart. 5 laps to go here at Michigan. Here for scrap round number 8 of season 1. Anson and Hobson on the front of this restart. Remember, the one to watch here is Colin Bruns. Is currently in 12th. See how much he slides up the leaderboard. Jason Martin back there as well. He has a bit of damage. Matt Danson now has red everywhere behind him, that being Yeaman and Hydes from Drop Bear. And Hobson didn't get the best launch away. He's lost positions from that outside starting positions. They're 4 wide in the back. Look at that, Mazomo, Stevens, McKenzie, Lear and Jones. Add in now Jason Martin, Jeffrey Aldis as well. And Colin Bruns, unfortunately we were talking him up, but he's just received a pit lane black flag penalty as Daniel Yeaman gets himself into the lead of the race.
Yeah, Yeaman's singing it very, very hard on the way into 1 as the big wiggle from Danson on the way through 2. And now that's going to allow Hobson to have a go at possibly trying to get a move done here on Matt Danson to move into 2nd. He's going to have a whole head of steam on the way into 3, and he's going to get that move done for the time being. A few others getting a little bit loose on the way through 3 and 4 as well. Mazomo, one of those struggling in the background, but Yeaman has managed to get that done. Hobson's going to pretty much get this secured and finished, although just slots in behind on the way into 1, and Caleb Hydes is right there in the background.
The big issue for Hobson is probably way too low down the track. You can see that next groove up is the one to be in, but didn't have enough confidence to go there, and he also dropped the wheel onto the apron. Was lucky to not loop it around from that moment. Here comes Matt Danson to come back on Dan Yeaman. These two know each other very, very well. They haven't raced a huge amount in scrap against each other. Yeaman probably finds himself a little bit further back in the field. He cuts back down to the bottom. They cross the line, 9 thousandths of a second separating them at the line. 2 to go. And we still have a huge battle on our hands. Who is going to take this? And have a look at Dan Stevens. He has come from nowhere up into 4th position.
Dan Stevens has come from absolutely nowhere. Oh, this is going to be close. As Leah gets a little bit out of shape, Mazomo has to take evasive action to try and not be involved in it as well. But it's a 5-way fight for the lead of the race on the way out of turn 4. They're going to get the white flag this time by Yeaman's going to be on the inside. Matt Danson on the outside. Hydes is going to be tucked up in behind Danson as well. I'm surprised he's actually pushing Danson rather than his teammate, who's been left to hang out to dry on the low side as they head on the way into 1 and 2. Stevens is going to be on the inside of Hobson. Caleb Hydes is going to try and drive it around the outside of his teammate of Dan Yeaman, but he's going to have a full head of steam. Danson might just be able to do it and hold on to the race win here as Hobson's going to go to the low side, force it 3 wide on the way into turn 3. He's going to do a big send. It's not quite looking like it's going to work completely in his favour, but Danson's got a whole lot going on behind his. Hydes is trying to make something happen, and behind 3 wide across the stripe, Danson's going to win, but what a finish that was.
Wow, well done everyone. What a finish indeed. And I can tell you now that Dan Yeaman's very, very happy. He officially finishes second ahead of his teammate in Caleb Hydes. But Matt Danson wins yet again. But that was not as easy as he probably would have been expecting in the race when he saw who was out there on track with him. He was probably feeling a little bit more nervous because he hadn't raced that hard with these guys before as he has with other names in the series. Didn't matter tonight though. He picks up the win after 65 laps here at Michigan. Well done to Matt Danson. Of course, remember, he started at the back of the grid. Started at the back of the field and picks up the win. Matt Danson, your race winner for round 8. And he consolidates his championship lead. Watch out for that bump coming on to the victory lane. And there is Dan Yeaman and Caleb Hydes just hitting Matt Danson and causing him to blow his motor. There's Danson's donut stun. Yeaman's still doing his.
Yeah, the Trick boys will be very, very happy with that result, all things considered. And Yeaman, from actually nowhere as well at the beginning of this race, to suddenly be able to get up into the podium as well, be very, very happy with that, and also very, very good, strong team result as well.
Quickly run through the race results. Danson, Yeaman, Hydes, Hobson. Have a look at the gap between Caleb Hydes and Brenton Hobson there. 2 thousandths of a second separating those two for 3rd and 4th. Dan Stevens in 5th. 6th goes to Simon Mazomo. Ashley Lee in 7th position. Darren McKenzie finishes in 8th in that one. Then we've got Jeffrey Aldis in 9th. Jason Martin, what a hard luck story his night was. He finishes in 10th, but deserved a much better result than that based on the pace and the strategy he was showing. But unfortunate for him throughout the night. Go over to the final page. Ryan Jones finishes 11th. What an up and down night he had in this one. Colin Bruns ends up a lap down. He was looking strong, but unfortunately getting a penalty late on as well. Unfortunately cost him in that one. Sam Stride finishes in 13th with Liam Sheen, and Jaden Russell unfortunately not finishing the race. What a race it was. We'll get into interviews pretty quickly because there's some excited people waiting to come in and have a chat. And this guy for forever didn't even have us on Discord because he never had to come and have a chat with us. Well, it's been a couple of weeks in a row that you've had to come and have a chat now. Congratulations, Dan Yeaman. What a result.
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, I mean, was a little bit nervous at the start of the race tonight. Felt like maybe didn't have the confidence or maybe unintentional saving the tyres a bit more. But yeah, come to the end of the race there. Pit with everyone else. I was actually a bit marginal on fuel in that mid stint. Hence, actually, that was me dropping back to try and save about 2 litres. So, final safety car saved my bacon there and allowed me to obviously pit and get fuel in the truck as well to make sure we were definitely good. And yeah, just at the end there, there's enough grip in the track. You can go flat out there. So, pedal to the metal. Unfortunately, there, Hobbo made it 3 wide going into turn 3, so I couldn't really commit to a full attack on Matt there. So, but credit to everyone there to be able to go 3 wide through the final 2 turns, bring it out clean on the other side. And as the best result in the series on oval, I'll take that for starters at least.
Yeah, it was a very, very solid drive from you and Caleb coming on strong at the end there. But strategy-wise, we saw Caleb there giving a little bit of a bump to Matt on the last lap. You're a little bit disappointed that he gave him a little push, which may have potentially cost you the win.
I mean, if I was going to be nitpicky and say that I wish there were team orders, yes, but traditional policy for us really is that there are no team orders. We're both in it to win it. So, well, yeah, as it turned out, yeah, he was on my outside, so I couldn't come up and take the upper line. Basically, Caleb had just enough there because I knew if I came across, I would have been turned. So I guess it's an unfortunate circumstance more than anything, because if he'd backed out, he probably would have lost his chance to have a go at it. And in the end, he made it work, cutting underneath there through 3 and 4.
Well, you go from a track that you needed not as much luck to a track that you need plenty of. We go to Daytona next week. What are your thoughts on that? What are you looking forward to?
Well, another high-speed oval. I am still very much new to all of this, so we'll have to definitely take advantage of the pre-race practice and just get a feel for it and everything. But yeah, I have done 1 or 2 races there in the past, and if we have a big wreck and we have a big field, I'm aware that it'll go big. So gotta keep eyes open and on a swivel perhaps, but fingers crossed.
Well, we better let you do your shout-outs because I know you got the fan club watching. So who do you want to thank?
Well, I don't have too much of a fan club tonight, but nevertheless, to Caleb and the rest of the team at Drop Air Motorsports, a big thanks to all of them. To our team partners, Incosi Engineering Solutions, Sam Blacklock Media, Hybrid Racing Simulations, and Revolution Race Gear. A big thanks to all of them for supporting the team and partnering with us. And then, yeah, to Simon and yourself, Jay, and as series admins, and then as well doubling up as a broadcaster. Big thanks for helping make this series possible. And yeah, looking forward to next Wednesday as we get close to wrapping this one up.
Yeah, looking forward to it as well. It's always going to be a lot of fun as we head to Daytona. Cam, we'll let you take the next one. You can have your pick of first and third. I'll let you take your choice.
I think we need to talk to the guy that finished in third place, Caleb. A very, very strong result for the team and yourself to come home third.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Had so much fun, and being able to not only take third place but get a double podium for our team, that's excellent. I think Daniel will be really happy as well, hopefully, getting his first podium of the season as well, I believe. But yeah, no, just awesome race and awesome result, really, so couldn't really ask for more.
Now, obviously, strategy, the main thing around the strategy was mostly tires and obviously fuel, trying to minimize your fuel burn and trying to minimize that stop length as well for fuel as well was one of those very, very important things. Did you try and work the fuel numbers to be an advantage for later on, early on, or did you just try and move your way on forward, having started a little bit further back?
I kind of just waited to see what Daniel, what his fuel numbers were and what he needed to take. In the middle stop about lap 35, I think it was, or maybe it was lap 30. I think I took 6 more liters than him, and he had to do a little bit of fuel saving, but with the 2 safety cars we had, that wasn't an issue. So I had a little bit more fuel than him in the end, but it didn't really seem to be too much of an issue. I just wanted to really keep it safe. I don't think there was really any need for me to go really marginal. So, yeah.
Well, obviously, very, very good result. And we head to Daytona next week for the following round. Are you looking forward to it and thoughts about the track?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Daytona will be so much fun. Hopefully, we'll have a big turnout as well. I'd assume a lot of guys that haven't been here today or the past couple of rounds will come out. But yeah, looking forward to that. That should be so much fun. It'll be a long race, and yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, it should be mega fun.
Well, before we let you go, just any thanks and any shout outs you want to give?
Just big thank you to the team, Driver Motorsports. Big thanks to Daniel. Big thank you to the team sponsors and Cozy, Sam Blacklock Media, Hybrid Racing Simulations, and Revolution Race Gear.
Well, there you have it, Jay. Very, very happy third place, and I believe you are standing by with our race winner.
I believe I am. Matt Danson. Happened again. Congratulations on another race win, but I think you would probably think that was nowhere near as easy as you may have thought early on, especially with a couple to go. You may have thought competition not quite as strong as normal. I might be okay here, but those boys behind you gave you a really, really tough job of picking up that win. Didn't make it easy at all.
Yeah, no, they everyone did great.
you know, I mean, you had Mez was digging early on. He was doing great, and you know, and that's that second to last run, like before we had the little sort of shootout at the end. You know, sort of let him get out in front, just kind of be the what's the saying there? The guinea pig, the rabbit to chase. I don't know. Let him be that sort of sitting out there in the front. And then eventually, I sort of went around him, and I thought I was going to be okay. And then, yeah, like you say, we got the yellows towards the end. I mean, it's a draft sort of track, right? So it's like everyone's on top of each other. So I wasn't super surprised with that, because there is that element of lottery, I suppose, in it. But with that being said, like everyone from Daniel, Caleb, Hobbo, Mez as well, and I think I saw some others up there like Ashley and Ryan was up there for a little while as well, and you know Liam Sheen, who I race with in another league. I was very surprised to see him there today. I was like, what's going on? But you know, everyone was having a stab and doing real well, and it was just a matter of sort of timing and positioning. You know, Caleb almost had a run on me on the outside there with I think like 2 to go, and I had to put a bit of a block on him because I couldn't let him get to my outside, because if he got to my outside, then I was really compromised. So yeah, it was just like I said, just a matter of sort of positioning. I just wanted to make sure heading into that last lap that I was on the outside so I could use the big run, and yeah, it's sort of how it played out.
Speaking of that outsider, do you think a few drivers may not have been aware of how much more outside dependent this track is? I mean, we know it from a lot of other series that running the middle or slightly higher line is definitely the preferred line here, but a few drivers sort of the instant thinking is to tuck to the inside. Do you think it may have caught a few drivers out practice wise or strategy wise as well?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I you know, I was coming from the back pretty early on. I sort of, you know, identified that was because I didn't get much practice because of just, you know, I was using a new rim and had to settle that up. So yeah, like a few laps in, I realized, okay, you can't get much done on the bottom unless you do big sen. And but I thought let's not advertise that too openly. So I didn't want to run the top that much to start with. So I made sure I was pretty much exclusively running that sort of middle lane, and sometimes on the bottom. And which, I mean, they're also viable in certain circumstances, but in that sort of big pack situation, I didn't really want to advertise that too much. But which I think maybe kind of worked out, because it did seem like people were really desperately trying to get to the bottom. I think was it Dan? He made that move to the bottom, and like I think I passed him heading out of turn 4, and then on the front stretch he sort of immediately moved low, and I was just like, beauty, yeah, that's fine, no worries. And yeah, that sort of all played out. Similar situation with you know, Hobbo just before that yellow came, which he probably would have. I mean, he would have been ahead of me. There was only just ahead of him when the yellow came out, but I think I would have then had the run in the next corner just by holding the outside. So yeah, like you said, probably maybe not a lot of awareness, but yeah, I'll take it.
Well, next week we go to a track that I think everyone is going to be aware of what to do and how to do it. At least try to anyway. We head to Daytona.
Oh God.
Thoughts? What are you thinking about? How nervous are you? And you're glad that you've got a bit of a championship lead going in there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is the lottery of lotteries. So yeah, that'll just be a matter of trying to survive. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a foreign type of racing to us, you know, down here. So it's probably not. It won't be the close quarters kind of Daytona that I'm used to, perhaps. Just, you know, from like the American servers, because they're just crazy. You know, they're on top of each other big time. So we'll probably end up giving each other a bit more room, I think. Just, you know, that's usually how it plays out on the Aussie side of things. But I mean, if there's 3 or 4 wide moves available and it's there for the taking, I'll give it a crack.
What we like to hear. It's what we want to see. Good luck for next week, but we'll let you thank who you need to thank, because I know you got the list there in front of you.
I think it's burned into my memory by now, I hope.
I think it nearly is into mine too.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah, so obviously we've got Logitech G, Astro Gaming, Virtual Racing School, Cube Controls, Racetech Seats, Owned Live, and Sam Blacklock Media. Of course, you guys as well. You know, as I always say, I'll be able to sort of kick back and watch this one. I feel like this is going to be a really enjoyable one to watch, just with how action packed a lot of it was. You know, we had a few of the yellows early on, but the boys really cleaned it up, and I felt like that racing was close, but really clean towards the end. So credit to everyone in that regard, and of course all the organisers, everyone who makes it happen. So thank you very much for that.
You have Matt Danson, winner for tonight, and Cam. I'm looking forward to next week. As soon as we put it in the calendar, it was the race we were looking forward to. We don't know how it's going to go, except for one way. Absolutely crazy. It's going to be good fun as we head to Daytona next week.
Yeah, it'll be really, really good to see what's going to happen, who the results are going to favour, who's going to end up running into a bit of bad luck, who's going to get a bit of good luck. It's going to be one of the most unpredictable rounds of the championship with the plate racing style that goes on at Daytona and any sort of vehicle. So looking forward to seeing what's going to happen and looking forward to next week.
Yep, you can catch it here on SimSpeed just after 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on next Wednesday night. But we will wrap it up there for Scrap. Big thanks to the guys at AOG, Aussie Online Gaming, for their help getting this series up and running alongside us here at SimSpeed, joint project that we're having a lot of fun doing. And now we're working out what we're going to do for Season 2, because this season has been so much fun. But we know 2 rounds left in this season means that championship starts to get thought about well and truly. Matt Danson does lead that championship, but it only takes one bad result for that to all change, and we saw how close it was tonight. We expect to see extremely close finishing next week at Daytona. Make sure you watch here on SimSpeed TV. From myself, Jay Kennedy, alongside Cameron Dance, thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.